All right, taking a look at the price of Bitcoin today, sitting at $90,153. We did just see a dip down below 90K to 89,000, and that quickly was bought back up and it ran up to like 90,600. But like I said, currently sitting right at about 90,000 currently. Looking at the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, sitting at an 11 on that scale. We saw 14 over the last kind of several hours and day. Yesterday, November 16th, we did see that fear index get down to a 10. So that's very low for the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, typically marking a good time to buy. Obviously not financial advice here. Taking a look at some of the dips across this past year, this past cycle, we've seen three kind of major areas of pullback in this kind of bull trend that we've seen over the past year. And this actually has been the smallest pullback to date. So this pullback over the last several days was about 25% drawdown. Earlier this year in March, we saw a pullback of 32%. And then back in May, we saw a pullback of about 33%. So though that Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is very low at a 10 and sentiment feels awful and like, oh, this is the end of crypto, this was the smallest pullback that we have seen. Taking a look now at that CME gap, so the Chicago Mercantile Exchange gap. This is, when the exchanges or the regular markets are closed on the weekend, and these gaps are created. That was back in mid-April. That gap was created at around 91,000, and that did fill today. So that price came down, closed that gap. Many people were waiting for this gap to be filled as kind of a confirmation that this drawdown is getting close to being done, and we could see maybe a reversal coming soon. Cameron Winklevoss agreeing with that sentiment, posting right after that 89K or that 90K level was broken. This is the last time you'll ever be able to buy Bitcoin below 90K. So far, since he tweeted that has held true. But actually, no, it's not anymore because it just broke under 90K. As I said that, we broke under 90K again. So you got another chance. Cameron Winklevoss, you were wrong, sir. Harvard University buying Bitcoin. So Harvard University just bought $320 million in Bitcoin ETFs, increasing their exposure by 237%. Wow. Taking a look at some more kind of bullish news. This is James Bull on X. He gave kind of 2 reasons why the cycle may be over, and then 20 reasons why it's not over. So his 2 reasons why the cycle may be over is that the 50-day moving average was crossed. That's typically quite bearish. And as far as the years line up in the crypto cycles, this would potentially be the time when a 4-year cycle would end. Are we still in the 4-year cycle? Or are we moving on to the business cycle? That's to be determined. And that's his number one case for this bull run not being over. The cycles depend on the business cycle, not the 4-year cycle. He also mentions that the S&P 500 is at all-time highs. Gold was recently at an all-time high. The M2 money supply is at an all-time high, so they're printing money like crazy. The death cross that always doubled the Bitcoin price in the 6 months following in the cycle. We just crossed that just in the past day. There's no euphoria. We felt some of those pumped out fun meme coin, Solana meme coin run up euphoria, and I think that took a lot of the attention of the altcoin cycle that we may have seen. A lot of that euphoria went in that direction, but that typical excitement, euphoric feeling that we have felt in previous markets was not felt by most people. There are more rate cuts coming. So Jerome Powell has an FOMC meeting in the middle of December next month, about a month from now. I think a little less than a month from now, and most folks are calling for a 25 basis point cut in that meeting. The government shutdown just ended. The last time that the government shutdown ended, Bitcoin pumped for 6 months straight afterwards. Tons of altcoin ETFs coming, retirement funds integrating Bitcoin. Altcoins look incredibly oversold, and the fear index is at 10. So tons of reasons why we may continue onward. Another thing that he could have added to this list is that President Trump is saying that these $2,000 tariff dividends will be sent to Americans by mid-2026. Again, those stimulus checks that were sent out during COVID, those pumped Bitcoin quite a bit, or at least were, contributed to the price going up. I believe he's saying that these checks will be sent to household incomes less than 100K. So if you qualify for that, you maybe are seeing this check. And again, that's a big maybe. This is not set in stone by any means yet. So is this a bear trap? Are we seeing the bears push the price down, trying to kind of get a better entry before we have that euphoric run up into Q1 2026? I think that may be what we're seeing here. Either way, buying Bitcoin at the top or buying Bitcoin at the bottom, generational wealth is what you're going after. So not financial advice, of course, but I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.